Hey guys, welcome back to Internet 2.0. Today we are joined by my mom, or as many of you like to call her, Con Mom. So it should be a great podcast. We get to relive a lot of family memories, talk about from her perspective what I'm doing, what is going on with VR and the future of technology. So it should be an awesome podcast. So when did you first hear about VR? Was it from me? Was it somewhere else? All the way back in 2017 when I first started asking for a headset.
I'm sure I had heard of it. We were definitely a family that paid attention to technology, but you definitely uh, were interested right away, and that was what definitely, that's what I remember about VR. I knew that it was something you immediately like gravitated to. And I knew that first Christmas when you were asking for VR and we got you a really dumbed down version of it.
Yeah,
I
Google
knew,
Cardboard.
oh my gosh, I knew it was going to be a bad Christmas morning because I knew that was not what you meant. Even though
Yeah.
you were like little and it didn't seem like you could possibly really mean that sophisticated of a system, I knew that's what you meant.
Yeah. Yep.
And I knew that we were in for not a merry morning.
I do remember that. Yeah. You got me just because you don't know the names. I got me a Google Cardboard, but what I was asking for was what I'm wearing now, the Oculus Rift. But
I wasn't in charge of that. I was
yeah.
not in charge of that procurement.
I think there might have been a little bit of a communication error, but eventually, what was it? Next Christmas? Was that the
Yep,
next Christmas?
yep. And I was like, oh, we will not make this mistake again.
Yep, yep. So I waited all that time. Yeah, I can remember opening it up and popping in the first game, and remember there was that it was like a 30-second. Most of you guys probably don't even know what it is. Remember, it was that little thing you put on? There was like the dinosaur. There was the alien. It was like I don't think they even have it anymore. It was like
Oh, yeah, it was like the intro.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was what like I think it made like you did the
Mm-hmm.
tutorial and then it like made you do it. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Oculus Dream Deck. That's what it was called. I don't know if it's still on the
Okay.
thing. I would love to do that, but yeah, I remember that. Remember, I remember
Mm-hmm.
distinctively, in on Christmas putting on the headset, and when the alien popped up, I like screamed and ripped it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like
Mm-hmm.
you trying it and all that. And
Yep. Yep.
obviously we talked about this a little bit before when we were talking about doing the podcast. The first time you really
Yeah.
tried VR. Talk about that from your
Mm-hmm.
perspective, because that was funny. It's a funny story.
Oh my God. Well, we brought it over to your aunt and uncle's house, and I did it in front of like all the extended family, right? Or was it at our house?
No, so we went to our aunt and uncle or your sister's house uh Christmas Day for dinner, and I brought it and I played it in their basement. But no, it was, I don't know if it was Thanksgiving. It was some other time where a lot of the family was together, like a festivity or something. But we were definitely at our house, our old house, and
Yeah,
you
but I
tried
did it
it.
in front of a bunch of
You did it in
people.
front of a bunch of people, but what was
Oh,
the?
I did the roller
Yeah,
coaster in front
yep,
of people.
yep.
Oh
Talk about
God.
that.
Well, I was sitting in a chair, and I'm in real life not a big roller coaster person at all. I've tried and I've learned that that's not my thing. And I, had never done VR before, and it was a pretty realistic feeling roller coaster. And I like slid off my chair
Yeah,
onto the floor, and everyone was watching me, and it was hysterical. I'm sure there's video of it on
yeah, there
somebody's
is.
phone.
Yeah,
And uh yeah, I lost my mind. I think I almost peed my pants, and uh, I thought, yeah, I thought the world was ending. I thought I was definitely not in our house anymore, and was not laying on our floor, and
Yep.
it was incredible. It was incredible.
Yep.
And I've done very little with VR since then because it blew my mind, and
Yeah. Yeah,
not.
this is probably the most you're gonna be in a VR headset. The most you have been.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you are just
I've
sitting
dabbled a
down, but
little, but I'm not young and flexible like I used to be.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
brain doesn't handle it well.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think that'll be something interesting in the future when these kids that grew up on VR, like me and other people, grow up, and I would suspect that there's gonna be some differences, like with
For sure.
their brain and stuff. So
Yep,
that's because it's kind
definitely.
of trained it, because your brain's still developing when you're young. So if you have a headset, which is maybe
Yeah,
why,
I hope that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's maybe why they say 13 or older. But I was
I
9.
know. I hope we didn't do damage.
No, I don't think so, but it's something interesting. If anything, it just means that my brain is now going to be more adept to VR in a way that, like, biologically, like, physically and stuff. I don't think it's a bad thing. I haven't noticed anything, but it's certainly interesting.
Right.
You don't.
You know what? The one thing I could do. You don't remember, but I'm gonna call this out. I was decent at some Beat Saber.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Remember?
That's the
What
game you
song did
played the
I like
most.
so much?
I forget
Yep.
what it was. It was one of the default ones. Yeah, no, you
Yeah, it
loved
was.
Beat Saber. Yeah.
Yeah, what was that one? It was an Imagine Dragons song, right?
Yeah, yeah, they had that whole playlist. Yeah. Yeah, you should try it
Yep.
again. I haven't played Beat Saber in a while. That's a fun game. It is
But
actually,
that was a long time ago, but
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Oh,
I liked that. I was good at that.
yeah, it was fun.
Because you
Yeah,
really basically stand in one place. I could
true,
handle that.
true. So when I first got VR, do you what's your experience of when, like, those years following up when I got the headset and I was playing around with it? Like, what are some memories of that you were, experienced, of me talking about VR, what I did in VR, what I experienced, you know?
Well, it changed, like, sort of aspects of our house because you did it in, like, out in this, main area. I actually bought different furniture to accommodate it and the sensors,
Oh yeah.
and it was kind of like a constant presence um out, and I liked always sort of having you around. Sometimes you would, get out of off track and like smash into something, but you were sort of always around in that area that was a main area. I was in the kitchen, and you were always doing your thing. And I liked that. And then eventually, as you got older, you brought it up to your room, right?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
was the next evolution.
Yep.
And that really required you to change your room around, and you became
Oh
more
yeah.
minimalist up there,
True.
and got rid of a lot of stuff, so you had more room to do it in there.
Yep.
Um, and I could still hear you because as you got older, you got a lot louder when you
True.
started doing the VR. So the Echo VR. So I guess I still felt your presence, even though it was further away. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see it evolve because it started out, more solitary, certainly. Although that Orbis game, you had a
Yeah.
little bit of a community.
Yeah. True.
Um, but certainly it was nothing like
Echo.
I don't think, from my perspective, it was nothing like Echo VR.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah,
seeing how Echo grew and really became such an important part of your life with relationships that were just as valuable, if not more valuable, than the, in real life ones,
right,
was really wild and such a switch from the way I grew up. But that's how technology changes
yeah,
everything. I mean, so much about your growing up is different than my growing up.
right,
Um, and it was really just such a different way to experience peer relationships. And I also think you were exposed to being in a peer relationship almost with adults,
right,
in a different way than they were like peers when you were teammates with them,
right.
in a way that doesn't really happen in real life, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I would
um
agree with that.
I think you got a lot of positive reinforcement, and they didn't have the toxicity that some of the younger kids did, which
True.
was something that I think you gravitated towards as well, and was certainly a nice aspect to the game that, as your parent, was nice to hear
Right.
about and overhear. When sometimes, we'd watch the games or sit in your room and, um, at least hear what was going on. That was always, the toxic part of it was tricky. And then as you got more advanced and really were playing competitively, it was really nice to hear most of that go away.
Yeah, 100% yeah, I would agree with that. I think that I can speak to the toxicity of, I mean, it was really bad when I was younger, and I think that it was ultimately a good thing because it taught me so much of how to deal with that type of stuff. And I would, yeah, 100% agree. When I got more competitive and got better and better, the people at more towards the top were definitely more or less toxic. So that was definitely helpful. And I just formed relationships with people along the way that I met that weren't toxic. Like
Right.
one of my long
Well, and as much as yeah,
no,
go ahead.
you go ahead.
Well, as much as your parent, I hated listening to that. I was at least like comforted by the fact that A, you weren't participating really, and B, you didn't like it either.
Right,
So I felt like you were at least learning from that aspect of it, that you didn't like it. You were trying to figure out how to, in some cases, disrupt it, with your own, commentary, personality, which, of course, a parent always likes to see.
yeah,
And I think there were times too that you were a resource for kids who didn't know how to handle it.
true.
And that was a nice thing to see. And I think that you sort of figured out some interesting ways to navigate that and help other people
I would agree.
too. So, as much as it was gross and um, things about it were really hard to listen to, you were also learning a lot, and we talked about it, and never felt like it was okay, but there was growth and learning happening that was also really positive.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I mean, it's taught me so much, and I use that information all the time in the real world as well. So yeah, definitely. It's ultimately a good thing. But yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things people had a problem with was the toxicity. It was definitely a big problem.
Yeah.
I was there were so many people that were on the same boat as me. So you know, that really sucked. But I think the people that didn't like it kind of all separated and kind of banded together, and so there's definitely a lot of that. And the communities and
And that's
stuff.
not unique to Echo VR
Right.
either. I mean, that's gaming, right?
Sort of, but I would say that it was definitely different than any other game, not just I've experienced, but just I've seen. Like, I think
Really?
that's a product of VR. There was such a different connection that you could make with VR because you're seeing, you can my hands are
Okay.
moving, you can there's more of a connectedness than just like voices because that's other like PC games you're just voice voice voice. So with this you have like a body, you talk, and a huge piece of it as well was, you don't know as much about this, but Discord is kind of like we're all, it was, you meet in game and then you add each other in Discord and then you talk. So it was like it went outside of the game too, so that provided more
Right.
connections and more, and it was, so that was also I think a big piece of it is the game expanded outside of the game. Like even if I'm,
Right.
when I was at school, I was playing the game sort of because I was communicating with people, I was making connections, I was, so that was I think that's another piece of it is why Echo relationships are just so, and it's not just, I mean, even from other VR games, there was such a difference with Echo. So that's something
Interesting. And that's always been kind of invisible to me.
yeah, true. I mean, like, about like Ennard. I mean, he's one of, I've known him
Right.
for
Right.
what, 4 years now, and I've seen him
Right.
twice. I've drove to Canada. So Ennard, if you're watching this, shout
Three
out to you.
times, right?
Oh yeah, 3 times because it was
Yeah.
built up PC. So shout out to you, Ennard. You're
Right.
awesome. I love you, Ennard. Yeah. So that's one of those relationships that
Right.
and I don't think I ever could have done that in any other game. Okay, so I gotta ask you about YouTube because obviously that's
Okay.
a huge part of me and with Echo and with VR.
Right. Yep.
So kind of, I don't know, talk about that from your perspective, what you were seeing in the beginning and up till now.
Well, it was super exciting to watch you go down that road. I think so many kids your age say, I want to be a YouTube star. And you really set some goals and made it happen. It was really exciting, and as your mom, of course, I was super proud of you to just see you do that. I mean, honestly, sometimes parents go like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sure,
right?
with some ideas that your kids have. And you even, I mean, this actually just popped into my head. I would watch you sitting on the floor with like paper, and I'd be like, what are you doing? And you're like, I will be building this 3D structure of, like the Empire State Building. And, you would have paper and scissors and tape, and I'd be like, okay. And, 3 hours later, you would have a structure that was taller than you,
Yeah.
built out of paper and scissors and tape. You kind of always exceeded expectations and challenged what I thought was possible. So I've sort of learned a long time ago with you to go like, oh, okay. I have no idea what you're capable of. You're capable of things that I don't even understand. So when you tell me you're going to do something, I'm like, all right, let me know when it's done and I'll come look and maybe I'll understand it and maybe I won't, but I'll definitely be impressed and I'll, pat you on the back and, hopefully you can explain it to me in some way that I'll understand it.
Right.
Now I'm making myself sound like an idiot and I'm not, but, definitely you understand technology in such a way that it comes very naturally to you, and it's cool to watch and see, and I'm glad that I have you around to help me navigate as the world gets more and more sophisticated.
True that.
Yeah. So, the YouTube journey was cool in that you really did create specific goals and you hit them.
Yep.
And you hit them in, an interesting order, not typical, which again is sort of your way. You're not really typical. And it was really fun and exciting to be a part of that. I mean, the day you got, hit all the monetizing milestones was
Yeah.
like really exciting.
Yep.
It was really fun, and that's a day I know I'm going to remember. Just being just proud of you and excited to be able to watch your journey.
Thank you,
Regardless of where you go and what you do, that's always going to be, a moment that I definitely remember.
Yeah, no, that was a huge day. Yeah, I remember that. I mean,
It was really cool, really exciting.
Yeah. It was on
That's
live stream.
Yep. And that's not, that's not something that a lot of people could say that they want to do that and couldn't achieve it. And you did in kind of record time.
Started making some money, not a lot, but not a little either.
Well,
decent amount.
We had the whole big announcement that kind of put the kibosh on the whole
the shutdown
system.
Yeah, true. But I'm making the most of what's left, and I've been talking to you about this endlessly. Another Axiom and what they're doing, and so it's really again ultimately a good thing. But yeah. So what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on the shutdown of Echo? And
well, the shutdown was very upsetting news. I was first and foremost, I was like devastated for you. But also just furious at the way it was announced and done and like taken away from all of you guys in the community. It just felt so unfair and mean and unnecessary the way it was being done. I'm very happy to hear that, it sounds now like there's, it's not all over and there's going to be a new iteration of it all, and you guys will have a way to move forward and be able to do your thing together. So I'm happy about that, but there was a bit of lag time between really knowing that, and it sucked that they did it that way. It was very disappointing and unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I'm sure, good came of that, and a lot of determination, and you guys, probably bonded more as a community in that heartache.
Yep.
And you're gonna, whatever the new thing is, you're gonna probably love it more, appreciate it more, and have more fun with it. And I think now my understanding, if I understood this correctly, is it's probably going to be handled a little differently and not get into the hands of people that can take it away from you ever again.
Yep. It really sounds like they're determined to build it with us and allow us. I mean, David literally said, "You guys should own servers." And a huge thing. I mean, you know that speech that they did at the LAN. Basically, sort of
a little bit.
So it was David, which David. He's the guy who made Echo. He's now the project lead for this game, and Lemming, who I've told you about, who's been involved with the game forever, and really has the best intentions and all that. So they basically did a speech, sort of. I mean, they're not anything against them, but they're not that good socially, which is fine. But so that it wasn't was kind of weird, but it was the ultimate message was David basically recognized that like the community made the game. Like at the end of the day, Ready at Dawn didn't really build anything. You guys did. So he recognized that and said, because we recognize that for this new thing, we really want to validate that and allow that to flourish in a way that it never could have. So I think that's probably the biggest piece of this.
Yep,
Is
that's like the silver lining out of the heartache that
yep.
Meta imposed on you
Yep.
all.
Is that nothing like that can ever happen again, because we'll own the game as much, if not as more than the developers did. So, because we're developing, so I think that's huge, and so because of that, I mean, I think that I know the community has the best intentions for the game, so really, I think that
Yeah, that's
yeah,
like amazing.
and they're
Yep.
gonna do a closed beta in a couple months, so the time, August 1st comes around, that hopefully they'll line it up where almost immediately we just go into there. And what it sounds like they're doing is they're just going to have us play the beta, and as the community, we're going to be like, we like this, we don't like this, we want this, we don't want this, and they'll take all of that in and build it with us. So that's huge, and that's really honestly how I think everything should be developed. Is if you have an audience, no matter if it's a game or whatever, but especially if it's a video game, you should say, hey guys, what do you want? And then like listen to that, and the least you could do is listen to it. And that's ultimately, I hate this whole thing of like the developers are making the game and they own it. It's like, no, like you're making it for someone else. You're making it for people. You're not making it for yourself.
Well, there's such a community
can,
with
but
Echo VR too,
yes,
that to really involve the community in this way is
huge.
like so great. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing about it, and that's really why I'm able to, or I feel comfortable being hyped for this.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, okay, let's say that the worst case, the closed beta comes out and it sucks. Then we're all gonna tell them it sucks, and they'll change it. So there's not really a situation where we lose, because we ultimately.
It seems unlikely that it'll suck.
Yeah, I'm just saying, worst case. Let's say they put out something and it's awful. We're gonna say, what the hell? You got to change this, and then they will. At least that's what they said, and I trust that they will follow up on that word. So that's another piece of this, is like, so, and that's a really good thing for me as a YouTuber content creator, is there's not going to be a gap of time. And so, yeah, I mean, it's ultimately going to be awesome. But okay, so let's talk about business, right? Because you're kind of you've been hearing all about this business I've been making. I haven't really said much to them, but VR skins, right? And I'm working with another person within the Echo community, Mitch, Money Mitch 26, and we really, I really like that we have like the same mindset. We really agree on a lot of things. We have the same passion, and we're trying to build this a sticker that you can put on your headset and customize it. And so, what's your thoughts on? You've been hearing all about this a lot. Nothing's really public yet, so it's all behind the scenes. But you live with me, so you've been hearing all about it and seeing it.
Seems like a great idea, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't be something that people would want, and it's seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
And you and Mitch are pretty compatible, and you have complementary skill sets, and I think it's full steam ahead. I think the timing of it, particularly with new headsets coming out and this new game coming out.
True.
I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. Yeah.
I have a little dog on my lap. You can't see him, but I can feel him. But only you could have pets in VR.
Pets? Well, I think you can. I'm sure there's VR chat pets. But you can't actually feel them.
Whoa. Well, yeah.
Got
That's what I'm
dog.
saying. I think this community would really like to see this little fluffer.
They would. Yeah, I should.
He's really cute.
I could put him on screen. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put a screenshot right now. Dog named Bodhi on screen right here. Okay.
Yeah, you really should. He's on my lap right now.
Yeah, he's adorable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been
So
going
what
for
else?
30 minutes. Let's see. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you think would be cool to tell the people, as they say?
I think you should ask me, what else, besides VR, are you good at, or do I want to tell people about, or
What do you mean?
ask me to just, well, why don't you ask and find out?
What else am I good at besides from VR?
Oh my gosh, what aren't you good at? You're basically good at everything you are interested in. And when you were younger, that was, you're incredibly artistic. And I think if you wanted to be now, you still could be. Whether that was drawing or painting, you were always the standout in your art classes and camps.
True.
And I framed so many things. Yeah, amazing. You also, too, any sport you played, you were great at. You just were bored and didn't like a lot of them.
Yep.
You're funny and like, you know, take over a whole room and entertain
Yeah, true.
with your comedy, your storytelling, your jokes, your magic. You went through a little magic phase.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would sort of, go into things 110%. And then you'd master them and move on. Remember your Rubik's Cube phase?
Yep.
You were like unbelievable. You were
Yep.
one of those savants with the Rubik's Cubes, all different sizes and kinds and shapes.
Yep. I don't think I can solve one anymore, which is kind of funny.
I bet you could after you were.
Yeah, I mean, if
give you an hour and a few cubes, I think you'd pick
give
it
me
right back up.
10 minutes, I can figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, I said an hour. 10 minutes would probably be fine.
It's honestly just the last.
Yeah, even when you were little, puzzles, all
Yeah.
kinds of things. You're like so visual, so visual, which is probably why you're good at Echo VR.
Yep. Well, and I will say all about with that is like I felt like throughout my whole life I was doing all these little things. I'd get into Rubik's Cube, I'd get into art, I'd get into da, and I'd try all these things, and nothing really stepped up until Echo. And so,
Right.
I kind of feel like all of what I did before is all put into everything Echo is, with content, with, business, with just all the VR, really. And so
you would stick with things for sometimes extended periods of time, but yes, then you would really kind of master things and move on.
Yep.
To something else.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that's all. Yep. And if you really break it down, I mean, there's so much in common with Rubik's Cubing and VR. It really felt like I couldn't find my thing. Like I was getting close. Like Rubik's Cubes are close. And then I finally found my thing. And
And you played soccer, and you played
True.
baseball.
And because I always had that competitiveness where I liked to
Yep.
compete, but I didn't
Yep.
like to compete with baseball. So,
Right.
yep, and I yeah.
Well,
So,
and it was also really boring to stand in the outfield or
true. Yeah, that's baseball.
on,
Yeah.
second base.
Yeah,
Same with soccer. If the ball was, downfield,
yeah.
you were
Well, I
bored.
think that's one of the things that really, specifically with me, made Echo so good was it's so fast paced. Like honestly,
Yes.
it's perfect. It's like because my mind just races, and so like you don't have time
Yes,
to
it
like
does.
think about anything else. It's kind of like
Hmm.
I took a break from Echo when the shutdown happened, and when I came back, it was almost like I had like a physical reaction. It felt like I got off a drug and then just tried it again. It was not good. I had to kind of ease myself back into it because it's like
Mm.
when you're in Echo, like all you think about is Echo. Like it's not just like you can't think about anything else because if you do, you lose so much of what's happening. There's so much going on. You have to manage 7 other players. You have to manage where the disc is. You have to manage where you are in the field. You have to manage where all the other people are in the field. There's all of that, and so I think that's another reason it made me. For me, it felt like it was kind of made for me because it's like exactly what I wanted. So
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, because it's hard to shut my mind off, and that was Echoes.
I know.
Yeah,
I
shut my
know. I've known ever since you were little.
yeah.
One of my favorite Connor stories is we had long since put you to bed and thought you'd been asleep for hours. You know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah,
It was, I don't know, 3 hours after we thought you were asleep and you appeared in the doorway and were like, I need a clipboard and masking tape and scissors and a marker and a ruler and, like a mile a minute. You had some grand plan and like you couldn't take it anymore. You needed to execute right then and there. And we were like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, no, you need to go to sleep. But like your mind, it's a tricky thing to manage. It doesn't rest much. And that's a really cool thing, but it's tricky because you
yep,
need to rest and recharge so you can have your great ideas and
yep,
execute them successfully because everybody needs to rest, and that's always been a struggle for you because you're full of great ideas
yep. Yeah, sleep's always been
and you want
difficult.
to do them all. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yep.
one of the biggest things I've had to learn through growing up is like sometimes you can't do it right now, and being okay with that. So that's definitely something that was tricky for me. Because I've had that happen.
Yes.
I have that happen all the time where I'm like, oh wow, whoa, 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 and it all makes sense, and I can do this thing, and I'm like, wait, I can't do it right now. I have to wait, and so I'm able to do that now. But yeah, definitely. When I was younger, it's one of those weird things where you're like this thing that's mostly good also has this extension of bad.
Right.
It's a trade off.
Right.
It always comes with a negative. So
I used to say it was always great until you would then go to the dark side.
yep,
You'd have
yep,
this great idea and build this great, cool, whatever it was. Until then, it would go too far.
right.
You just
So
needed a nap.
yeah, but I
Yep.
made it, and I learned to
Yep. And
deal
you
with all
figured
of
it
that.
out.
Yep,
Yep. Now you know how to, balance it all better.
yep.
And you're just a creative genius and you just had to
Thank you.
figure out how to manage it.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you're going to do in an hour and what you're going to do in 2 years and 10 years and
80 years.
all of it. Well, you'll have to send me a note about that. I think maybe I'll not be here.
Unfortunately,
But
yeah.
maybe I'll be watching from somewhere. Who knows?
True.
Well, 80 years. Let's see. Who knows? You might be here. There
I
might be a
could.
lot of advancements.
What
Yep.
I would be 96?
No, 80 years. You'd be 100 and.
See, I might be
6.
smart, but I'm also not smart in some areas. Like basic math.
No, you were right. You would be 96. I was wrong.
Oh,
You
wait,
were right.
now I need to check. Oh yeah, because I am 16, I'm not 14. Right.
Yep, you're right. No,
I
you could
was right.
definitely still be here.
Yeah, it's
You
possible.
were right.
Yeah, with technology. Yeah, true.
You
We'll
could
see.
definitely still be,
Yeah.
doing the foxtrot somewhere.
Yeah, who
with
knows?
a
Maybe
harem.
maybe we'll combine with machines and we'll live to
Mhm.
300 or forever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Boy,
that's
good luck with that.
well. That is one of the weird things. Is you seeing this like they're getting kind of close to being able to 3D print organs. So like
Yeah.
it's not unimaginable that in like 20, 30 years, like you could just replace every single part of yourself and
Yeah, I'm
live
not
forever.
sure how that'll go. But
Yeah, I don't think that'll be such a good thing, but I think you're kind of designed to get out of here after 100 years. At most 100 years, like you're kind of old now. Get out of here, but
well, yeah.
yeah, who knows? All right, so do you want to call it? Is there anything else
Yeah.
you want to talk about?
No. This
All
was
right.
really fun. I
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I want to thank your audience for being interested in hearing what Pond Mom's got to say. And yeah, just keep having fun out there.
Hell yeah! All right, I'll see you guys later.
Bye, everybody.